communicating early in practice. So we just got to continue to develop, learn the scheme, and continue to do the things that we're doing. I like the direction we're heading, but it's like everything. You got to keep building blocks. You got to lay the foundation, and these guys have done a good job with that at the linebacking core. So we just got to continue to work.
How much is Coach Petrino involved in the defense?
Well, anytime you're the head coach, you're gonna know what's happening on defense. So he has a good knowledge of that. From that standpoint, he's a guy that is very bright in the sense that, from a structure standpoint, here are the things that give us trouble from that standpoint. So that's a great tool for us. So really, that's the biggest thing that happens for us, is just knowing the structure, knowing maybe the issues that occur with this alignment or this formation, and that's really where it is right now. And he's a guy that's going to know, what you're doing on offense, defense, special teams, because he's the head coach, and he's a guy that's doing it that way, and will continue to do it that way.
How have you liked D'Angelo Brown, kind of in the 3-4 look?
Yeah, D'Angelo's a guy that. He's very stout inside. He's a guy that has taken up, a couple guys on the double teams. He's a very conscientious guy, works hard. He's really, he was coming off an injury from last year, and you can see the improvement in his movement skills from the spring till now. And he's done a really good job of getting himself in shape. And we just got to continue to work him at his position to let him get better, and really been pleased with what he's done. So we just got to continue to work him.
Is the transition from a 4-3 defensive tackle to a 3-4 nose tackle, is that tough for someone like him to make?
No, you still got to play blocks. I mean, however you line up on guys, you still got to play blocks. You got to play with your hands. You got to go strike guys. You got to deliver blows. So from that standpoint, all of it's the same. For a guy like him, it's probably a little bit more of an advantage to play that way relative to his skill set, and we're going to utilize the things he does well to help us be successful.
Can you talk a little bit about DeBose and Mount?
Yeah.
Two guys who've got obviously the ability, but maybe haven't had the production. Do you think your defense sets up a little bit to help that?
I think the big thing that you always do, in my opinion, that you always evaluate the players you have in your team, because your scheme is going to be relative to your personnel, and it might tweak every year relative to the players you have or don't have. And I think that first, DeBose is a guy that is playing in for us. He's a guy that has shown some ability to be hard to block one-on-one. He's a tough guy. He's a guy that can give you a little bit of pass rush, both as an edge guy and an inside guy, so we can mix and match and put him in both spots and utilize that. So we just got to continue to develop him and get the consistency in the performance that we need so he can be productive, kind of like you were saying maybe wasn't there in previous years. So that's what we're shooting for with him. Mount's a guy that's probably as healthy as he's ever been, and he's at the outside backer position, he's a guy that gives us ability to set the edge in the run game, but he's got some movement skills to him in the pass game. And really, when you look at our outside backers, when you get guys that have movement skills and can play in space like that and got some coverage skills, and you add that with his ability to come off the edge and pass, he's a guy I think that can help us and give us some production at that spot. He's a smart guy that can really play more than one spot, which allows us to have some flexibility in how we play those guys, meaning that he could be an outside backer or a defensive end relative to the situation. And being a senior last go-round, he's a guy that I think's invested a lot of time into the scheme, the system, and try and learn what to do and how to do it. He's really been a good leader for us in the room and on the defense, and I kind of expect that to continue as we move forward through camp. And give us the things that we need to do to get better, because part of camp is every day going out and improving. See the tape on the things you did in practice, make the corrections, and go out the next day, improve and build on that. And a guy that has leadership like him can really make it more of an investment for the team from a player standpoint to make sure guys do what they're supposed to do. So I've been pleased with him.
With Terrell Floyd, you've been moving him from free safety to nickel when you go in the nickel
he's
package.
A guy that has a lot of, Terrell, and that's a compliment to him and his ability. Like I said, we're always going to work to play the guys at the positions that best fit them and us to make plays. He's the guy that in camp I saw, or in spring when he was playing corner, I saw a lot of passion in him. He's a guy that's physical as far as a tackler goes. He's got cover skills, but he's got size. And when you looked at those attributes that he had, and then you looked at our safety situation, it was one of those that we felt like it would be best if we could play him at that position. So it was a pretty natural move, and to his credit, part of being a team guy is understanding your role and what you have to do. He embraced his role, he learned it. It's going to allow him to make a lot of plays for us, but it's also going to allow us to be a better team, which is the most important thing. He's a guy that's done a good job of taking ownership in the team to make sure that the guys in the offseason were doing what they're supposed to do. He's a guy that does a good job in practice to make sure that we play at the tempo that we need to play at as a defense. He's got a lot of passion to play the game. He's a guy that can be a productive player at that safety position, because now you got a guy that can cover. And when you get a safety that can cover, particularly the wideouts, it opens up some things you can do.
At one time, this really goes back before you guys were here, he was kind of perceived as the class clown. Is he still that? Is he more serious or what?
I think he's pretty serious. I mean, from what I've seen on the guy, he's a guy that understands when it's time to work, it's time to work. He is very passionate on the field and wants to play well, and he shows emotion, both when things go well or maybe when they don't. And I think what you got to do is you got to funnel that to positive energy as a player, and do the things that allow you to become a better player. And that part of it, he's done a really good job of trying to understand his role, understanding the position he's playing, and how he's got to play it. And I've been really pleased with his progress and what he's done, and he's embraced the positions that we've put him in. So I've been really pleased with him.
What about Holloman? Is he? They replace a lot of starts there in the secondary. Are they where you want them to be?
Well, I mean, I think that as a group in general, we still got to work. I mean, I wouldn't say that any of us are where we need to be right now after 4 days in camp. But I like the progress we're going. Holloman's a guy that if you look at where he is today relative to the spring, he's much improved. You can tell that he's done a good job with our strength and conditioning staff to get it in the kind of shape that you need to be in to play defense. Because part of defense with this up tempo and all that stuff is you got to be in great shape and being ready to handle that from a conditioning standpoint. And Holloman's a guy that has studied the system. He's continued to work, and he's shown up. Now we got to continue to develop him over the next few days of training camp to get where we need to be. But he's a guy that's moving in the direction that we want him to go.
Most of the guys you have were recruited, obviously, by Charlie and his staff, or the way they did things. Do they have to change more to fit your scheme, or do you have to tweak your scheme to fit them?
Well, I think anytime there's a change as a coaching staff, you're going to want to have things done a certain way. Okay, and part of that is really with coaches or players is explaining why you want them done that way. Nothing wrong with the way things were done before, but in this system, just as a total program, this is the way things need to be done. This is the way we're going to do it. And the players have done that and have worked hard. I think part of coaching is you always got to be flexible in your system relative to the players you have. And you're always going to do that. I mean, we're going to be different next year than this year. I mean, and that's part of, defense is about one-on-one matchups and guys making plays and how do you get those matchups and trying to take the players that you have that can affect the game and letting them get in those positions. So, we're gonna do that with the players that we have. The big thing with me is we got to make sure that we play with the intensity we need to play, that we need to play with the passion that you need to have to be a good defense. And that part of it, we're still working on. We're moving in the right direction. And as we do that and taking the players that we have, we can get where we need to go. So, we're moving in that direction.
How did you guys go about determining who would be in the first team defense when you play 11 on 11 and that kind of stuff?
No more than really kind of, first of all, we really rotated a lot of guys in spring. And now coming out of spring, we've kind of set the guys as these guys will go with the first, this guys will go with the first group, these guys will the second group, but it's interchangeable. Whether you're a 1 or a 2, we're going to try to get you work against different guys for the matchup standpoints, meaning that if you always go against the same guy from an offensive perspective, it's harder for us to maybe evaluate a guy that's going with, let's say, the second team guy. So from a front standpoint, and we try to mix those guys up a little bit to get some matchups. So I wouldn't read anything into depth charts right now. I mean, it's just the way to list them, to rank them, to let them go.
Good. What is your focus going into the second week? Is it reinstall?
Well, the way that we've done it, the first third of training camp is really an evaluation of your players that you have, the positions that they're going to play throughout the whole season, and installing your system. Really, what we did is we took the first 4 days and we've kind of thrown things at them that are different at all 4 days. And then now, going into the second week, we're going to kind of redo that again, go back to day 1 installation, and try to hone in on the attention to detail things that maybe weren't there the first time we did it, so that we can be exact in our alignments and our assignments to allow us to play fast. And part of defense is creating habitual traits, habits, and really that's what we're going to try to do, is continue to develop our habits to allow us to play the game the way you need to play.
D'Angelo Brown, what makes him effective?
He's a big, stout guy.